Hello everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV for the final time on a shitty year.
But to be fair, we've won the league this year.
Yeah, I mean, look, Liverpool have been the only beacon of hope in an otherwise pretty crappy year. But nevertheless, the year's about to end. But, you know, Liverpool will continue to be the shining beacon and the world will continue to be shite. But we are here as well and we will continue to be here. Yes, I'm Paul Machin, Chris Pajak joins you in the studio for this. And it will be the Liverpool team news reaction in about 4 minutes' time. One thing we do know, we've had confirmation not just by Good News Pierce saying Thiago Alcantara set to be named on the bench for tonight's game versus Newcastle United, not featured since mid-October. The official Liverpool account have even done exactly the same thing and put a cheeky little photo of him out as well. Yeah, absolutely amazing to see Thiago, and we can't wait to see his wonderful smiling face on the pitch at some point. I can't imagine he's in the starting 11, Chris, but look, just to have Thiago back, just having him sitting on the bench, I don't even care. I'd like to see him play, but it's been that long, he's almost become a myth. So just being able to see him warming up and being on the bench.
I can't wait, mate. Honestly, yeah. Like when I read the tweet before, I was at the starting 11 board and I was doing a little jig. I was that happy because that's exactly the type of player that is going to be like a new signing, Paul. I tell you, mate, he's going to be like a new signing.
I think we're genuinely allowed to say that with him.
He is, because he's world class. He's one of the best centre midfielders in the world, and he was supposed to have made a difference already to this Liverpool side. And you know, I don't know exactly what the difference would have been. But I do feel, and I don't know whether I'm right in saying this, Paul, but Liverpool certainly did look to be going towards a 4-2-3-1 in the summer and during pre-season. And I wonder whether Thiago's injury and him not being fit at the start of the season meant that actually we didn't go to that. And I'm not saying that we will, because I think we've been playing all right in the 4-3-3 and everyone understands the role. And because it's a truncated season and everything else, there's not the training time to be going and moving to. And I don't think Liverpool have been very good in that 4-2-3-1 either, by the way, whenever we've shifted to it. But he will have a transformative effect on this side, and having him there as a reinforcement, as someone on the bench. You saw what he did when he came off the bench against Chelsea. You saw what he was doing against Everton. You saw he played the best pass of the season on one leg. You know what I mean? This lad can do it all, can't he? Yeah. And that's the thing. So as a midfielder, when you've played so many games and stuff like that, to then sort of finally see your reinforcements in Thiago there, and you're like, just breathe. I can breathe a little bit easy and stuff like that. It's going to be brilliant. The next sort of 6 weeks, I think we're going to see a better Liverpool for having Thiago in there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's going to be really, it's just because
And we've not rushed him back.
No, we've not. We've taken our time with him, which is the most important thing. We know that he's an amazing footballer. What we don't know is how he fits into this team. And the point is, he could probably play in any of the midfield positions. You know, and he might be so good that we change formation for him. The thing is, it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. One thing, we were talking about this on the podcast this week, is how having someone like him in the games like against West Brom, we've been crying out for someone who loves passing, who loves making difficult passes, who loves to break down defences, who just loves trying the unusual and trying things. I'll do it. In fact, John Doe just put a super chat in there for £5. Thank you so much, John. It says Thiago could have unlocked the West Brom defence, and I agree with that, because what we were saying is this: he doesn't tire of that role. You know, other lads have other roles within the team. They do other things. They sprint around the pitch. They cut off passing lanes. Blah 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 blah. But his primary function as a footballer is to thread balls. It's to encourage other people to try other world class things. So he gets better, and I think the whole team becomes braver for having him in and around that as well. And you
saw, and I know you hark back to the Chelsea and the Everton game. I will do, because that's when I've seen him play football for Liverpool. But the entire team knew straight away, these are lads who've won a European Cup recently, who were Premier League champions, who were champions of the world, and everyone tipped the cap to Thiago, and all of a sudden the ball was going to Thiago, and they were almost stood around like kids in the playground, like, what's this kid going to do now? Give him the ball. And that's the type of thing that you want to see, and it's because he can do it, because they'll have seen it in training already. You don't just obviously he's earned that respect while he's been at Barcelona, while he's been at Bayern Munich, and then he comes to Liverpool, but he's earned the respect of those lads on the training ground as well. So for him to then get that ball and start doing things with it, it's the speed with which he does it. It's one touch quick. He already knows where everyone is on the field. Bang, get it into feet, fizz it in, trust the player to control the ball and stuff. That's what we're going to see. So no more, hopefully, of this where Liverpool become rhythmic and quite slow and you know, obvious against like West Brom. That doesn't happen with Thiago in the midfield. He's too good. He's not going to let a malaise set in across the entire midfield or the team.
Yeah, literally, he's a creative genius, and he's about to be unleashed on the Premier League once again, just in time for us to go into
I just want to see him get 20 minutes.
Just in time for a break, for a lockdown break. Right, the team is out, because if you want to head over to the board, it is as follows. We've got it up on the official Liverpool Twitter account, and then Chris will talk us to it at the board momentarily. We've got Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Nat Phillips, partners Fabinho, Robertson is left back, Milner, Henderson, Jones, Mane, Salah, Firmino. Chris Pajak, good team.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, the first things that you look at and you think, wow, okay, that's a bit of a shock. For me, Nat Phillips going in ahead of Reece Williams, it looks like at the moment these two lads are just in rotation. Because after seeing Reece Phillips come on when Matip got injured the other night, I fully expected Reece Williams to start. Maybe it's the physicality of Newcastle that we've decided to go with Nat Phillips, or maybe we didn't expect West Brom to attack us. I don't know what it was, but for some reason Nat Phillips has been given the nod. I'm all right with that. I don't really care who starts out of the two of them, to be honest. And then James Milner. I'm glad to see James back in the side because, first of all, I think Gini Wijnaldum needed a rest, and he was going to have some minutes off. And someone said on the starting 11 prediction, I wonder if you just play James Milner in this game, just so Gini Wijnaldum sat there and got a bit of time to read that contract offer just while he's on the bench there, do you know what I mean? Just sort of mulling over. But more importantly, what they were saying, the comment on the starting 11 was to show what he's missing. And I think Liverpool aren't in the best contract situation with Gini Wijnaldum, so to be able to rest him right before the deadline and to say, okay, we've got lads coming back now, mate. We've got Thiago on the bench there. James Milner can go into the side. You can have a little bit of a rest. Maybe Gini realises what he's missing. The front three is going to be the front three, and then the question marks, I suppose, is going to be Jordan Henderson or James Milner. We had a little conversation about this, didn't we, Paul? I think we both know that Jordan's the best 6, but is Jordan also the best 8? And would Liverpool, if they're expecting a game where maybe we're going to be recycling possession a lot in their half, when we're trying to break a side open, maybe Henderson would be a better option in the 8 than James Milner, who knows?
Yeah, I think the good thing about Jordan Henderson is he's a very break glass option in that regard, isn't he? If you need to put a little bit more energy into what you're doing, you can always push him further up there. It's going to be interesting to see what Newcastle do, to be honest. I mean, I've actually got Newcastle's team here, so they've got Carl Darlow in goal, which is interesting. Martin Dubravka's on the bench. DeAndre Yedlin, who we know is literally just pace. That's all he is. Fabian Schär, Federico Fernandez, Kieran Clark, Matt Ritchie, Isaac Hayden, Matty Longstaff, Jacob Murphy, Joe Linton, and Callum Wilson. So Callum Wilson's a good forward. It's going to be an interesting. It's good. Your point, isn't it? It was that. Do we need Jordan Henderson as the 6 in this game? Well, the good thing is that if we don't, we'll learn that, I think, as the game goes on, and maybe you make a little tactical shift as it could be.
And look, I fully expect the substitute to happen in the middle of the park because Milner hasn't played a lot of football. So is the sub Milner for Thiago? Who knows? Is it going to be a 70-minute sub? Who knows? I mean, if he's in the squad, he can play 20 minutes minimum. So let's go through the bench because I don't think we have. Kelleher, Gini Wijnaldum, Thiago Alcantara, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Takumi Minamino, big smile on my face because this is a really strong bench. Xherdan Shaqiri, Divock Origi, Nico Williams and Reece Williams. That's the strongest since the weekend, Paul.
Yeah, it's even slightly stronger, which is amazing. What a bench. That is an astonishingly strong bench that Liverpool got. Let us know your thoughts on the team and everything like that in the comments. We had a super chat come in, which I will just get up right now, from Brad Comenda, who just dropped $9.99 US dollars. Thank you so much, Brad. If you want to get a comment in, mate, let us know. I think you've earned that for that. But yeah, it seems to be in fact, Andrew Henry is saying we have to be more creative, as I expect Newcastle to sit back like West Brom. I wonder whether that's the case. My general feeling, and I think I said this on the podcast, is that I think Newcastle are a bit of an in-between side. The DNA of Newcastle Football Club is to be an attacking side, but I wonder whether there's a little bit where Steve Bruce might have looked at the West Brom game. There's no way he's not looked at it, by the way, and gone,
I'll have been wanking himself off silly watching that game. Let's
try a little bit more like that. So I'm not sure they are capable of doing it in the same. I mean, look, they'll have. In fact, if you've got an app that's got the line up in formation, because I'd be interested to see what they've gone with it, because I've got this in my head that Matt Ritchie's been getting used as a wing back. I might be completely wrong on that.
On this one, as you can probably see now, Paul, they've got Darlow in goal. They've gone 3 at the back with Clark, Fernandes and Shah, and then Yedlin and Ritchie is probably the wing backs, with Matty Longstaff and Hayden in the midfield, Joe Linton, Wilson and me. So that could quite easily become 5-4-1 or 3-4-3, I suppose.
It's the Yedlin Matt Ritchie thing where they are. I mean, Yedlin's always been a right back, but again, he's just dead fast, and he's never really kind of hit the heights beyond the promise of that. And Matt Ritchie is a former winger who's been getting further and further back the pitch. So if they choose to use those as wing backs or as auxiliary extra full backs in a back five, that's okay. This isn't like them putting absolute yard dogs in the team. This is, again, it's a team that has enough players there to cause us problems going the other way. And is it against their nature to go as all out defence as some of the teams that we've come up against? Is my suspicion on this one.
I'll tell you what, it's made a lot easier by the fact that there's no Newcastle fans there. If they do decide to sit back and soak up pressure and all that, because the Newcastle fans, they're great fans, but they want to see attacking football, don't they? Yeah. So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you they'd boo them, because they wouldn't, because they're good fans. But they wouldn't be impressed with them just turning up like West Brom did, for example, at Anfield or whatever. But no, look, listen. For me, Liverpool have got the players on the pitch there, and most importantly, Liverpool have got a world-class midfield 3 that they can change out. Because look at the 3 lads: Gini Wijnaldum, Thiago, Oxlade-Chamberlain. Yeah. You could literally change your 3 midfielders, and arguably, there's no drop-off. In fact, it might be better midfield 3.
And it's mad to think we've still not got Naby Keita involved in that conversation as well. And this is where you point about the strongest bench we've had for a while. This is where we've been struggling, because not only we've been struggling defensively, but we've emptied our midfield almost to do that, in addition to midfield injuries. And now the engine room of the team, Henderson and Wijnaldum and Kurt Jones, to be fair, have put a lot of hard graft in, a lot of miles in the tank, or out of the tank, I should say, in the last month or two. It's the position in the field that Klopp rotates naturally the most, and we've not been able to do that. So that's one of the beautiful thing about this, is that, okay, we still haven't got, with no Jota, we haven't still got another guy really who's of the quality to come and rotate the front 3 in, but being able to change how you approach the game from behind them with substitutes. Bringing Thiago and Ox is a completely change how your game is set out kind of thing, which I think is very exciting.
And that's the thing, is it's such a good point, Paul, about the midfield, and that's what Klopp changes, because over the last 2 years, the front 3 is generally the front 3. He might get them a few minutes here and there for Divock Origi and spell them at the end of games and stuff. But the midfield is why we win games, I think. Look, the lads, the strikers are the ones who put the ball in the back of the net. But when the midfield's a bit tired there, it becomes a bit more predictable. And that's what we saw against West Bromwich Albion in the second half. I think the midfield, we didn't get a grip of the game in quite the same way as we had first half. We didn't move the ball around quickly enough. When Liverpool are playing well, that midfield's rotating week in, week out, and the energy levels are kept up and the pressure's up and everything else. If we're able to start doing that again over the next few weeks, you'll see a sustained Liverpool performance for 90 minutes. Because think about a lot of the last few games, bar Crystal Palace, of course. We start well, there's a 20-minute gap where we're maybe not at the races. We end the first half well. We've not really sustained that other than Crystal Palace for the full 90-95 minutes. Yeah. I think that's to do with rotation.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. We've definitely had to change. I mean, look, you can talk about it. The energy levels in the league are all over the place because of the way that the world is and all that. But I think Liverpool, we're a very, very intense side. But it's been telling that, we said this the other day, I think Liverpool reached for a gear that wasn't there against West Brom. We dug, right, now's the time to lift ourselves, and it was like, it's just not. It wasn't there to be doing, and there's contributing factors to that. I genuinely wonder whether Oxlade-Chamberlain comes in a bit earlier if we don't have to take Matip off the pitch. But having better players than arguably better players on the bench than you're starting your team, like James Milner and Curtis Jones. James Milner's been phenomenal, wonderful player, love him to bits. But Gini Wijnaldum's better than him. Thiago Alcantara's better than him, and then Curtis Jones has been brilliant this season. He's really gone up a level, and I think he's going to be a star, a genuine star, I do. But right now he's a 19-year-old teenager, and again, Oxlade-Chamberlain, when he's fully fit, he is. He's just better than Curtis Jones. So yeah,
it's just obvious,
stuff,
isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, like the Liverpool over the last 3 months have been putting the best foot forward in almost every game, and there's not been the options there off the bench. Yeah. You know, we had that earlier on in the season when we had Jota and he was coming in and scoring goals from the bench and all that type of stuff. But when you put your best team on and the best team don't do it, it's very difficult, I guess, for Klopp to go, all right, okay, yeah, I'll take Salah off and bring Origi on. It's just tough because we're not getting it from the bench, whereas we've got options there in the midfield that we can bring on. I'd like to see Shaq get some minutes as well because he's a difference maker, especially in games that teams that park a bus against us and stuff.
And it makes sense, you know, if this is a 4-2-3-1, which it could quite easily be. It could easily be Milner Hendo as a 2 with Kurt Jones roaming around in front, and then you've got an option there to bring Milner off. I think Milner for Thiago. If Thiago's ready, and I'm not certain he actually is, but if he's ready, that's a sub. But also you've then got the option of bringing on Shaq for Curtis Jones in that regard, and just having him again just float around behind Bobby Firmino and see if he can play those little balls and stuff, which we know he's very good at. Klopp at 95 at the £5 super chat. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see Thiago in the second half. Do you think he'll be used a 6 or an 8 in this side up the Reds? Great content as always, lads. Thank you so much. And we had one off Clap Entertainment for £1 as well. Thank you. We'll see. The point is, you can do both. He played, you know, with Dortmund, Jesus Christ, at Bayern Munich, he was doing it in a 2. In the derby, he played the left-hand side of the midfield 3. I could see him play in a 4-2-3-1. I could see him not in an archetype. Well, actually, probably in an archetypal 10. You know, you don't tear around the pitch. You just kind of occupy a little hole and play passes.
Role almost. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, De Bruyne goes all over the show, doesn't he? I could see him just again sitting a little bit off the front and just helping if we're just penning teams in, so you don't have to be high energy, high tempo. I don't think we'll see lots of that, but it's Gerrard did a bit of that, didn't he, in the later stage of his career? Yeah,
I don't know where he plays for us, because I can imagine a world where he becomes the 6 while Fabinho's in the defence, because he is a good tackler, contrary to popular belief and contrary to his probably game in total minutes for us so far, because he gives that penalty away, was it? Or was it a free kick? Was it a penalty?
Yeah.
Gives the penalty away. He is a good tackler, and we've seen that over his career. So I know that he can do that role, and he can play that almost Xabi Alonso-esque DM. He's not going to be your Kante style DM, but he can certainly be your metronome, and he's got that range of passing as well. Or move him into the 8, or play him in a pseudo. I don't care. I just want him on the field to showcase what he can do.
Absolutely. Right, we'll just quickly throw to the board so we can have a talk through the team for one final time. As you can see, Alisson in goal, a back four of Robertson, Fabinho, partnered with Nat Phillips. We'll be discussing that on the watch-along very shortly. Trent Alexander-Arnold completes the back 5. Jordan Henderson, James Milner, Curtis Jones, and then the front 3, as it were, with that jam-packed bench, which, yes, includes Thiago Alcantara. We are going to be back 15 minutes before kickoff, 7:45 p.m. tonight, which is about half an hour away. So do check back on the channel. Just hang around. If you want to hang around on this live stream, it should tick over into the next one. If you just want to put that to one side and wait for us to start, then do just that. But yeah, drop a like on this video if you think Liverpool are going to smash Newcastle. Let us know your score predictions in the comment section underneath. And don't forget as well, we're currently running a 25% discount on our merch shop. Use the code TOP at the @ Xmas, all caps, to get some wonderful, wonderful gear as well. But yes, we will be back in about half an hour's time. Make sure you check back for that. Aston Villa 7, Liverpool 2.
Diogo Jota everywhere, right hand side, left hand side, deep as well.
If you want to request a song as well,
how do they do that, Paul?
You just literally go, "Gives a song, bloody round the field."
It's a no.
No, this doesn't feel great. And do you know what? The chocolate's melting and it's slipping out of my hand.
Oh, it's wobbly! It's a wobbly biscuit! The champions are back on top of the pile.